Hola, amigos. About 4 years ago, I got a message from a designer in Colombia who said she'd like to work with Startup CPG to build her reputation in the US. I couldn't believe how affordable her pricing was, and the quality looked top-notch. I started work with them for Startup CPG, and then a bunch of my other CPG projects as well. Fast forward to today, they are the most beloved agency in our Startup CPG community. They've got dozens of happy customers like Prickly and so many more. I recommend them to absolutely anybody who will listen because the combo of top-notch quality and very reasonable pricing is exactly what you want as a startup brand. You can hire them for branding, packaging, your website, or they actually have an awesome startup package that will do all three. If you want to learn more, email them at startupcpg@wagondesignstudio.com or check the show notes. You could also post on our Slack for feedback and just be overwhelmed by how many people want to sing their praises. Gracias, Wagon!
We're able to sit on, different committees for different divisions, work with the buyers, work with the divisions. I get to show them, what I'm doing in Fairway. I get to show them what are the new trendy items that I could bring in there and, show that we could potentially be on the ShopRite shelf in a couple of years. What are the new trends? I'm searching for new trends. I'm walking shows. I'm trying to bring that, to the buyer's desk too. We're walking, the FSA show and, there's a couple other members, owners that, do want to walk through and, buyers that are there from Wakefern and, what are you seeing? What are you bringing to your store? And, there's a handful of stuff that I could, point out to, show them it's doing well and, share the information. So it kind of helps us, grow.
New York, New York. This is a big one, folks. We've got Glenn Cunningham on the podcast today. He is the Center Store Director for Village Supermarkets. That's part of the Wakefern Co-op, and they own some of the most epic New York area banners, Fairway Market, Gourmet Garage, and a bunch of the ShopRites. Glenn loves taking a chance on emerging brands, and in this episode, we cover it all. We've got an overview of each of his banners, how he sources and distributes brands, how to support your product when it's on shelf, his view of the biggest opportunities in the store right now, and so much more. You're going to love this one. Enjoy! Welcome, friends. Today we have the legendary Glenn Cunningham. If you're trying to get on shelves in the tastemaker stores of New York City, Glenn is the guy you need to know. Glenn is the director of Center Store for Village Supermarkets, covering Fairway, Gourmet Garage, the New York area ShopRites, the Village Supermarkets banner, of course, and all of that's actually owned by Wakefern. Glenn has been at Village Supermarkets for 25 years, so he really knows his stuff. He's also known as one of the biggest supporters for emerging brands. He's constantly looking for standout brands that he can be the first to launch in the New York area. Glenn, my friend, welcome to the podcast. I'm so excited to have you here. Can you start just by telling us all, how did you get your start in the grocery business?
Sure. Thanks, Daniel. Thanks for having me. Really glad to be on here. Yeah, I think it all started, years of in the grocery store, just being fascinated how a grocery store runs. Either early days shopping it, with my parents, upcoming. But it first started when I was 15 years old as a first, job, in high school, as a bagger, for ShopRite. From there, I kind of continued my career, through a lot of operation roles and continue that through, little school. I took a career change and decided to stay in, food retail. But really just covering operations into, store management roles, department manager roles, really learning the fix and the ins and outs of the store. And then currently in my current role, as a center store director, just, in charge of merchandising for Village, probably for about 6 years right now.
That's amazing. You were making me remember my first job. I think when I was 14, I went and got a job at a local convenience store. It was a pharmacy. They sold lotto tickets. And so, yeah, I guess my first job in retail as well. But I did not make a career out of it. That's super interesting, though, because I often think about, like, if I had kids and what kind of jobs I would want them to have where they'd be learning to work at an early age and the value of that and hopefully enjoying it, but also picking up skills that they would really use later on, no matter what it is. You're not going to get like your first VC job when you're 14, but you can get skills like no matter what you're doing. Do you feel like it was pretty useful to you? Like you were learning stuff even when you were 15 as a bagger?
Yeah, I think I gained a lot of, my work ethic, really, really driving my work skills, and then, continue on, through school, and then, made a decision to, stick with Village. And as the family, obviously, took care of me, saw my career, and was really invested in me, developing myself, through the years working with them. It's a third generation run family. I worked, with first generation, second generation, on to third, and they really invested in me, took me on early on, as a young store manager, running a store at 24, continuing on my career. It really helped me develop myself personally, to grow into myself and to really grow into my current role, and looking to continue to move on, hopefully right out my career here.
That's a really nice way to think about it. And, a lot of people have the frame of like, well, what do you want to do with your life? Like, this is exactly it. But actually, for me, I'm way more interested in working with people who I like, who I think are really supportive, where things are going well. So it seems like you
Yep.
were in a perfect situation like that.
Yeah, no, couldn't land any better. Developed myself, my career, and helped me. And always just been interested in food, right? It's the food supermarket, how it goes. I love food. I love tasting. I love new products. I love emergent products. It's really what drives me and excites me. I love all the fixings of the business.
Yeah, me too. So, speaking of village supermarkets, can you give us the 101 on what exactly that is first? Because whenever I tell people about you,
Yeah,
like, you got to meet Glenn, but I have to list like four things that you cover, and they're like, and that, whoa, and that other one? Like, that's crazy.
yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
like
I can
take me back with the history of your career and then how did, because it seems like some of those banners got added on. What's the story?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I can I'll give the whole village history. So yeah, Village Supermarkets is they're with part of Wakefern. It's a membership. Wakefern's a co-op. There's 50 different members. Some members own two ShopRites, one ShopRite. Some own 30, 40. Altogether we own 37 doors, between 30 ShopRites, three Gourmet Garages, and four Fairways. My company, Village Supermarkets, purchased Gourmet Garages back in 2018, and purchased Fairway Markets in 2020. So added those banners on to our company, really expanded us and really got a footprint right in the New York City, Manhattan area. Prior to that, we opened up our first shop right in the Bronx, which really got our foot into New York. And then after that, we got into Manhattan.
Do you think that the buying spree is done? Is there other stuff in the sites for village supermarkets? Who's next?
Uh, yeah, you never know. You never know. Continuing to grow, third generation, wants the company to drive, right? And we want to keep continuing it. And their vision, their outlook is really strong, wanting us to be here, and also helping the co-op, right? It goes back to the co-op. Everything that we're opening up on their banners, rolls through the co-op. They're a part of the co-op. We're about 12% of Wakefern, of the co-op. So it's it really helps everybody, and they have a great vision for our future.
Well, when you guys do your next one, you'll have to let us scoop it here on the pod. And so, can you tell me a little bit more about what makes a co op different than other models?
Yeah, it's a membership. It's different members, a lot of different opinions. They basically run the co-op. We're able to sit on different committees for different divisions. Work with the buyers. Work with the divisions. I get to show them what I'm doing in Fairway. I get to show them what are the new trendy items that I could bring in there, and show that we could potentially be on the ShopRite shelf in a couple of years. What are the new trends? I'm searching for new trends. I'm walking shows. I'm trying to bring that, to the buyer's desk too. We're walking, the FSA show, and there's a couple other members, owners that do want to walk through, and buyers that are there from Wakefern, and what are you seeing? What are you bringing to your store? And there's a handful of stuff that I could point out to, show them what's doing well, and share the information. So it kind of helps us grow.
So, Wakefern as a whole is a co op. And that means
Yes,
so it's co op, which I just only kind of understand that in the sense of like a co op store that is owned by like the people who work there. And I think the people who shop
correct,
there, even all that. So, does that mean Wakefern as a whole is owned by all of the people who own the individual stores? Or does it
correct.
also, okay, not the
Yep,
shoppers, just the people who own the stores. And
yep.
so, Gosh, that sounds like you're probably in a lot of meetings. Um,
It could
so
be tied down for a lot of meetings, but yeah, no, it's every member, every family member that owns groups of stores have an opinion for Wakefern.
yeah, and then what's that like then when one of the members wants to go out and buy Gourmet Garage stores? I assume you can just kind of do that on your own prerogative, but it is going to then be part of the overall Wakefern cooperative. I wonder. I mean, it must be
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah, no,
People weigh in on that.
that's a dynamic hiring at me, but yeah, there's definitely working between our ownership and the co-op, if we're looking to expand our footprint. But yeah, there is other banners too, that they operate.
Okay, so that makes sense because when I had pitched you a long time ago on a brand, we were really lucky to be able to work with you. And then from there, we then started building relationships with some of those other stores as well, like ShopRite. And they were
Yep.
very interested to hear that it was in your banners, and that definitely smoothed the path for us. So that makes sense. Probably internally, you may even have a chance to tell some of the other banners about what you're bringing on that you're excited about. And then probably also centrally, there are some systems that you guys all share.
Yeah, no, our systems are all lined up together. We share data. We share, some of them we do compete with. But on my level, I have counterparts in the other members that we do share stuff that we find. Have you seen this item? Are you looking for this? What did you see on this trend? Glenn, have you seen this item? But we share stuff, daily if we're texting or at a meeting or at a committee meeting. But we definitely, share our thoughts and what we see out there together, and we kind of that's how we grow. That's how we become better.
Okay, this is awesome. I just have to say, this is the first time I've ever actually understood how this whole thing works. And it's very interesting to me and probably all of the brands who have tried to figure it out on their own also. So thank you
Yeah,
already. I
no,
think it's
oh,
been an
great.
A plus podcast already. we solved that one. So, okay, now digging into these individual banners, some of these are the most epic stores, especially in New York out there, like, Fairway Market, just legendary. I remember watching that TV show with Jesse Eisenberg. I forget what it's called, but the female lead in that was wearing a Fairway shirt for a lot of the show as well. Like,
Yeah,
hey, I know them. So
yeah,
it's unquestionably part of pulp culture in New York, part of the cultural psyche. Can you just tell us a little bit more about the different banners, though? So, like for each one of
sure.
them,
Yeah,
like where are they typically located? What does the store feel like? How are the
yeah,
shoppers and products different? All that stuff.
yeah, yeah. No, definitely. So Gourmet Garage currently, it's three stores. One in the West Village, one in Tribeca, and then the other in 66th Street outside of Lincoln Center. So really a gourmet convenience store. And I'm just going to put a plug in here. We just currently just redid the West Village to a new layout, and everybody should check it out. But we did have, add in more food service. My counterpart over there, added in more food service, grab and go items. Really updated the whole main floor. Really an awesome drink wall that we did, and great, grab and go items that are convenient, and really kind of brought some items from upstairs, from downstairs, upstairs, and added a lot more, hot food, cold food for convenience customers there. But a
I love
really
that one. And actually, I was just in there filming a check out all of our startup CPG brands at Gourmet Garage. And I was
cool,
really blown away how many of the awesome brands from our community are in there. So I echo
cool.
it. Looks great. Great layout. Nice job.
Yeah, thank you, thanks. So definitely check it out. But yeah, Gourmet Garage, smaller footprint, 5,000 plus items, really driven to specialty. I would say 80% of the layout, is specialty or naturally organic, and 20% conventional. But really, driving that in, into that store as a convenience gourmet store. We have everything everything you want at a gourmet convenience level. But brands, that we have, we're bringing in everything we can as far as trend and new brands, emerging brands. What's new, for that customer shopping, that store. Fairway's, our specialty store. It was a legacy store in New York City, really specialty driven, bringing in new items. Really known for their olive oil, their cheese, really those specialty, items. We still have them. We still get them from the same producers. Um, we get out there and we want to make sure that we had the customer. There's customers that shop there for years. Legacy customers that shop. So Upper West Side, Upper East Side. both great stores, still operating in Kips Bay and Chelsea, both great neighborhoods. So I think we're in every, borough or part of of Manhattan, covering our stores. But really specialty driven. We do bring in a lot of conventional. When we came over and we took over Fairway, we did bring in some conventional items into Fairway. We heard the customers that wanted some more conventional items on top of the specialty, so we gave them a mix. You could find your convenience, your conventional item if it's a detergent item or a paper towel, there that you would find at a shop, right?
All right, amazing. So, Gourmet Garage and Fairway, so obviously covering kind of different geographies, a lot of specialty items in both. Tell me, when I walked, because I walked into that Chelsea store for Fairway, and then I obviously walked through the Gourmet Garage one in the West Village. My sense was maybe in Gourmet Garage, then I saw even more brands that I recognized from the emerging world. Is that just was I did I just like have longer to look that day and more time? I just found more, or do you feel like actually you do have more space to test out some of the smaller brands in that location or that banner, or am I just way off?
No, no, you're probably right on. Definitely we highlight more, brands like that in a Gourmet Garage. For Chelsea, it's probably a smaller layout, smaller format of a store. We probably have less space than normal to actually bring in a lot of those items. But you are probably spot on, doing your observation there.
Okay, cool. Yeah, and that's probably right because I haven't gotten to the other Fairway locations yet, but that's going to be number one on my list when I move to New York in 2 weeks.
Nice.
So let's go there. We'll
Awesome.
have a we'll have
All
a
right.
meetup and check out the deli section.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
that's one of my favorite things to do when I'm grocery shop
Cool.
touristing is just
Yeah, yeah.
go see how killer of a sandwich people can make.
Nice.
So then, okay, and then coming back to ShopRite, and then there's also, and then actually, I haven't been in a Village supermarket banner itself. Can you go through those two?
Yeah, yeah. So there is no Village banner. So that's the company. Village Supermarkets is the company that operates the three banners. But ShopRite, we have 30 ShopRites. Conventional ShopRite store, average, 60,000 square feet, 20 plus thousand items. Again, it's based on demographic area. I might have items that are doing well in New York City that would wind up doing well, in some ShopRite stores that are trend into a younger demographics, or somebody that might be leaving New York City and moving to the suburbs. That might be a customer trend too. Still looking for those items. You could see somebody might shop with a Fairway bag in a ShopRite, that they just recently, moved out of the city. So we capture a lot of that. We want to make sure that we have that, and that trend that might be happening in New York could be 6 months to a year behind, happening in a ShopRite in the New Jersey side.
Oh, that's so interesting. Do you have any examples of that, of a trend that you saw kind of pop and then you saw it really take like 6 months or a year or even longer to pop, just kind of even so close right outside the city in Jersey?
Yeah, it could be probiotic. It could be a beverage set. I think we really dug into beverages the last couple of years, and we were ahead of it, in New York City, and then we wind up putting beverage sets into ShopRites, bringing in those items that were trending on the Fairway side. They're indexing high, and they wind up working out, and the sets grew and took off on the ShopRite side.
Man, what is just going on with beverage in general now? I feel like for me, it's the most interesting space to watch. Maybe I'm partly biased because I was most recently CEO for a beverage company, but I'm just seeing so much innovation. For me as a consumer, I'm way more interested in that set as well. I think especially almost like beverage as a snack type consumption, where like I'm home all day doing stuff. I always kind of want some different beverage and hopefully a healthy one. A lot of hydration is what I'm focused on these days as well. And I feel like it's all enabled by me working from home. So I can use the restroom as much as I need to. If I'm out on the town, I would not be drinking as many liquids as
Yeah.
I am here. But like the powders, like what do you see just going overall in beverage?
Yeah, no, beverages definitely exploded. Is it a prebiotic, probiotic, stomach, health? Is it a better, for you soda? A lot of the brands that, we worked on early on, I remember working with Swoon, years before, before where it is today. One of my guys, really working with United, Soda of America, just some cool stuff that really, took off, in the city, captured it, and then, brought it to the ShopRite side. But on the beverage set, I think it continues to grow. I'm sure at a point that, we're going to have to look at our sets, either determine what needs to go, what's going to come in, who's going to stay and who's going to go. I think is going to be the question, in the future for that category.
So for your shoppers, I'm sure you have some data on this, but like what percentage of them are rolling in for a quick sandwich and drink or just kind of like a one item that they're missing and a soda maybe versus they're coming in for a basket shop?
It depends on the area. It could be, hey, what's your lunch crowd? Every store is different. It's, based on location. Are you close to a working office? Are people back, in office, not working from home? It's really on what kind of lunch crowd you're really driving. The evening crowd, yeah, they'll come in. They'll pick maybe something up for that night for dinner, but then they'll have a basket that they're going to need, for the rest of the week. But it all depends on the area. Obviously, in the city, we get a little bit later crowd, a later start in business, and they'll probably right after lunch they'll kick in. But we do have a strong, dinner crowd, at least in Manhattan.
And what did you see post pandemic? For me, like, okay, here in LA, I can think of a couple grocery stores that are near office parks, which have been decimated. Those office parks, like, if people, I don't know, some corporate policies, maybe you have to come in 2 days a week now, like, if at all, they're gone. Those grocery stores, unfortunately, are really hurting because they don't have they were entirely reliant on that lunch crowd. I
Yep.
imagine that that wouldn't affect you guys as much because it's New York City and even you have that dinner crowd too. Like they work there. But a lot of people, live in New York, obviously, also, and they're going to be pretty densely packed around where your stores are. Did you see big changes at any of your stores or, kind of coming now out of the pandemic? Are you seeing anything shift?
Yeah, yeah. No, definitely. A lot of stuff changed. I think we all waited for New York City to come back, and it's back. It definitely came back. So, the changes of
You're saying because I'm moving there.
you're moving. Everyone's coming back. Yeah,
Let's
you're at
go.
the right
All
time.
right.
But it's definitely back. I think we all waited for it to come back, and I think the foot traffic has definitely changed. Competitive landscape changed, but just in the West Village, I think it was probably just shortly after COVID, the store was opened up, and it didn't open up with all the bells and whistles of a hot bar or a salad bar, and today now you can get that. So a lot of stuff had to change. We had to change our go-to-market strategy. My counterpart on the food service side, knew what he had to do and he had to change. And I think we're getting ourselves ready and set up, for the future. But I think it's coming back, and we're excited for it.
We'll be right back. Are you paying a ton in shipping to send out product samples and whatever else? The fees really add up, but lucky for you, we now have a partner that gets you access to the discounted shipping rates that are usually only available to those big companies. I worked with them for my last beverage brand, and I can tell you they definitely got us savings. Whether you're sending overnight samples, fulfilling e-commerce orders, or even a 40-foot ocean container, our partner, Enterprise Purchasing Group, or EPG, has got you covered. There are a bunch of free benefits you can get by signing up with them. You can get up to an 86% discount on small parcel shipments from UPS, DHL Express, UPS, and more. You get really competitive LTL and FTL rates through UPS. You get discounted spot and fixed ocean rates through Flexport and Maersk. You get exclusive air freights, and you also get preferential terms with supply chain financing. All you need to do is reach out to Francis Agas. His email is francis, Francis, at enterprisepurchasing.com. Mention the Startup CPG discount and take advantage of those savings. Good luck, everybody, and happy shipping. And now, back to the show. I love to see it. I love a good hot bar, honestly. So I'm excited that I'll be living so close to your West Village one because I'll definitely be there all the time. I can't wait.
Good.
So, okay, great. So, Glenn, like I mentioned before, I think you're one of the most prolific buyers in terms of going out and finding new brands and giving them a chance. And that chance means so much because, I mean, it's so cool to be in one of your epic stores. And, if you're a brand and an ambitious startup as you're growing, the momentum is so important. So it's not just your opportunity, which is awesome, and the volume that comes from it, and the great chance to trial and build awareness with some of the most important consumers in the nation. But also just, I think, the credibility that getting into one of your stores can give a brand that's really trying to grow locally or on the East Coast or even nationally. So, can you just talk to me a little bit more about how do people typically find you, or how do you find brands, and what are your methods for sourcing? And I think you typically do stuff a lot of the time year round, right? Not just kind of set reviews. So how are people getting lucky enough to get into your stores?
Yeah, no, it's being I guess readily available. It's always the brands. I think it all starts with networking, right? You got to network. You make your connections. I think feet to the ground. It's walking the shows. It's looking at the brands, looking at them, having conversations with the brands, making the connections. And I think once you start to establish yourself of bringing stuff in, the connections start to fold. You start to meet people. But I think LinkedIn, is one that's like phenomenal. I think I'll get stuff in my inbox all the time. My email's out there. They'll contact me with email. Walking the shows. This fancy food show. Didn't make Expo West this year because we had some pre-engagement. For store opening, but anything else, Unify shows, plant-based shows, we're there, we're walking. My team's there too. If I don't have, Fidel with me, I might have, Mark and a few other guys on my team there. And we're all scouting, making sure the brands are out there and trying to work, with them and pick what we think we need, for our stores and giving anybody the chance. We're looking for that emerging brand. We're looking for that new item. We want to be first to market. I want to see it in my stores before I walk into a competitor that has it.
And just two quick questions on that before I forget. Firstly, what are the UNFI DCs that you like to work with, or are there any other distributors you're okay with also, just for any brands thinking if they might be a good fit?
Yeah, yeah, no, we work with Unify, Hudson Valley and Hal. Those are my two DCs. On distribution, I have a great partnership with Chex Foods and Jeremy Eisenberg. Great relationship with them. He has a great team. Using their team too. They're out there walking in the shows too. Running into them, telling them what I see. Giving the recap, and I might feel something's better for them on a specialty item. Also, Rainforest is another distributor. I work with Jimmy Seba, and that could be something that it's a new trendy item in New York City. One of the top high end. I think merchant brand. Distributors. He is that they have, and working with them and showing them items that I find at shows too. But those are a couple of my top distributors that I use.
Okay, and then second question is, when people reach out to you, are you typically thinking about trying them in all of the banners? Because I mean, gosh, you got a lot to do in general, and just like separating it out even more, multiplying it by the different banners is pretty tough. Or do you always just have an initial idea of like, oh, okay, this beverage or this snack that would be best for Gourmet Garage or Fairway?
Yeah, we do have our own guardrails, and it's if we think it's something new, hyper local, new, talking to the brand, and they might not be ready for ShopRite yet. Maybe they're just ready for a couple doors in Gourmet Garage and Fairway. If it's something that's bigger scale, that's already hitting trend in the market, and I need to go quick and move fast, and I think they can handle it, then we'll move on. But there is some guardrails that we want to make sure the brands are ready. Uh, you know, Fairway Gourmet Garage, we can get in. We could probably work with them. We could probably fumble on a few things, but once we get to ShopRite, it's a different ball game.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. What are some of those indicators you think that would make somebody ready for a shop right? Do they need to be in, I don't know, 5,000 doors? Do they need to be in a bunch of the Northeast retailers already that you look at for kind of validation, or it's a velocity number, or they have to prove it out
Yeah,
first in Gourmet
yeah.
Garage and Fairway?
I'm gonna let them prove it out. Yeah, in Gourmet Garage and Fairway, if they can handle that, right, they can graduate there. But again, velocity, if it's in already, a few other retailers, and it's not, into a shop, bring it to a shop right there. But I think we got to look at, what kind of velocity they're getting in the market. How do we know how they're going to perform in Fairway and Gourmet Garage? If they're performing well there, then it could open up to, to shop right. But I think if it's in other retailers and I think they can handle the volume, then I'll give them, we'll work at the shop right level too.
All right, amazing. I wonder, do you have any kind of fresh memories of brands that have launched with you in the last couple years and really just crushed it? Like maybe you brought them in, gave them a chance in Fairway or Gourmet Garage, and just saw them really come in and do exactly what you were hoping that they could do?
Yeah, I mean, we have many brands. I think we have a lot of success stories. We do a fairway pitch once a year. We started that 2 years ago. I think we had Dancing Elephant. Was 2 years ago. They did phenomenal. They did great with their product. Launched in Fairway Gourmet Garage, and then further on, and currently today into ShopRite. So that was good. Swoons. Snoods. Sorry, Snoods, our pasta chip. She did a phenomenal job. Great pitch event. Same thing. Full rollout. Between all banners, and I think she grew, and I think she opened up other doors or other retailers too. Outside of our company from that. A lot of good brands. A lot of call outs too. I mean, there's brands in the city that really helped me connect with other brands, and I think had great success stories. You know, Haley Schwartz from Actual Veg Burgers. She's a great friend. Connected me. Dragged me to many events. Pop up grocer preview event. To other events within the city, and I got to meet a lot of people, a lot of great connection. This is a people business, and grateful for her. Really connected me with a lot of people, a lot of brands in the city, which kind of just gave me access to a lot of different things, a lot of connections.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, we love her. We love Snoods so much. Lauren, they were in our section at Fancy
Yep.
Foods. And oh my gosh, it's so good. I always tell people, for me, that product is one of the ones out there that I feel like, I mean, it's very high quality, like so many products, but I just think that the category is so ripe for that. And like the market opportunity is so enormous because I used to work for Mars and like I'm kind of familiar with the mass snacking space. And that for me seems like one that could absolutely appeal to the mass snackers and give them something that just is so differentiated and interesting and good. So I'm very excited to follow
Yeah, no,
along
it's
with.
definitely a disruption in the category. Very unique. Packaging great is great. She did a great job on it. So really excited about that brand.
And it's beautiful too, just the snack itself. It's so interesting
Yeah.
looking.
Yep.
Um, cool. So let's say somebody like that is reaching out to you on LinkedIn for the first time. What are the? I mean, unfortunately, you can't send such a long message and your trade sheet like right off the bat without being too eager. So, what to you is just like a nice little succinct message that they could send you that would be personal and compelling without being too much information that you're going to be like, I'm not reading that. Like, what is this?
Yeah, I mean, you get a bunch of them all the time, right? And I'll go through them, and I kind of flip back my email, right? So we could just kind of start the dialogue off email. I'm not going to go back and forth a message in there. But I think something to grab my eye, catchy. Hey, this is something I think that's a local. Could be a local item, it could be a national item. But I think if it's something that I'm interested in, or my team saw it, or there's some marketing behind it, or it's something that's trending on social media, we're really trying to get ahead of the trends, and there was great success. I think with just try calling. I think I get, maybe like 10 calls, a day, just from different, not sure what the brand is, but here you can email me, send me your deck, I'll review it, and I'll get back to you. I think that's the best, option to do it. My team too, they'll get stuff, and, we'll share, a lot of the stuff, and we'll look at our categories to see what items are missing and where there's a natural fit. But we do have a lengthy list. We're still going through the list from the fancy food show, and we're trying to prioritize that, and work our way down from there. But it's contacting me. I'm always available. I'll get back to you some way somehow. And if it's not me, it'll be somebody on my team.
That is awesome. And on behalf of our whole community, thank you for that because it is just definitely the I won't say the exception, but it's not always that you actually get to hear back from somebody, and it's very validating when they can at least just respond to you, and then and maybe they give you some feedback. I don't know, which can be really helpful as well.
Yeah, no, the feedback's great. I want to give the feedback if it's yay or nay, or the package needs to get redone, or you're too early. But definitely, we're there to give the feedback. To help them grow, and hopefully, grow and be more successful.
That's so good. Okay, now let's say there's alignment. You pick a brand that you want to be on shelves. They're very excited about it. Hooray! Now they're on shelf. How do you actually, on shelf in New York City at one of these really cool banners, drive trial? How are you going to get these awesome New Yorkers you want to become fans of your product to notice you on shelf and keep buying you?
Yeah, some brands do a great job, and I think I always, I try to take the best brand and use them as a lead example. Hey, this brand came in, did a phenomenal job with a demo. The social media was on point. Their social media person worked with my social media person. They aligned. They did some great posts. I think that getting out there, engaging with the store team too, engaging with our grocery managers or store management team, really showing them that you're in there. You're letting them taste the product. They're aware of it. They're selling your product. I opened up the door. I'm not selling your product. They are at the store. Let them taste the product, know what's going on, what's in their store. Give them the chance. Let them sell your product, get their feedback, and then the demos, getting the customer's feedback. It's very important that you listen to the customer, get the feedback. Are they saying they don't like the label? It's missing something on the label, ingredient. They'll give the honest feedback. The upper west side, east side, the customers will tell you, how it's sustainable packaging. They'll tell you right away, what you need to do. So I think you taking that back and really helping develop yourself and your product in the future is really a valuable feedback.
That's awesome. And it just reminded me of an initiative that we're going to be doing, which is called Let Us Do Your Demo. It's a fun thing. I think mainly because I miss demoing so much. We want to have a few brands that are in stores let the Startup CPG team compete and do your demos for
Cool.
you and see how many units that we can sell. So if anybody is
Wow.
in one of Glenn's
Yeah,
stores listening that wants to get in on that, shoot me a message and let us do your demo. It'll be so fun.
that
Um,
sounds fun.
I really do love doing the demos. It's a great opportunity to you as your team get the feedback firsthand. It also will completely hone your pitch once you've done a couple hours of demos and just you've fine tuned it, figured you can look in people's eyes as you're saying it and see what just completely goes over their head when they start to lose attention, kind of like you are right now. No, just kidding. and 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 it's just fun. And I mean, I think I would guess most founders in this space are competitive because it's very
Yes.
hard to do this. And if you don't have something just burning inside of you wanting to sell every last can that's on the shelf, like the whole thing is going to be very difficult. So yeah, that's a great example. And I guess one other question is, how much do you care about following that a brand might have already? Because yeah, like it's great to do some content like that. Do you look at their Instagrams if a brand's talking to you and see how many followers they have? Do you care about that stuff?
I don't. I think that comes, naturally, I think as they promote on, I think, but if they have some social media, content they could share, they can be creative, really show the passion, of the brand. And I think that's what's moving a lot now. We can all go on social media now, find what's new, what's trending, if it's TikTok or Instagram. I think, just getting out there, really showing me that, we're working hard, we're doing the demos, we have a social media platform, we're getting behind the product, we're working with my social media team, with a walkthrough or a tidbit calling us out. I think that all helps them, helps us really grow the product. But I think at the end of the day, it's really your passion, and some of them have passion that'll drive it right to the customer's basket through the register, and I think they have to know that they have to have that hunger, that grind. And it's tough. Not everybody has it, but you need to have it, to get behind your brand and make sure you want to sell it, you want to get out there.
We'll be right back. Hello, everybody. I am so excited to announce that Startup CPG finally has an official Amazon agency partner. I know a lot of you are looking to Amazon as a great growth channel for this year and beyond, and Daybreak is the best agency that I've come across that will work with emerging brands. They have a really affordable retainer structure. It's a lot less than you'll find with other agencies that might charge you upwards of $5,000 a month, which is crazy. Based on recommendations from this community, I actually worked with Leon for my own brand and had an amazing experience. The sales grew very quickly. We started ranking really high on organic search results and really just capturing search terms in the category. I think he is an amazing fit for brands in this community, and I highly recommend reaching out to him for a chat. You can reach out to him at leon@daybreak.agency. That's LEON at Daybreak, DAYBREAK.agency. Make sure you mention us at Startup CPG so that you can get $600 of free design credits if you end up working with them. Good luck. And now, back to the show. I totally agree. And I love it when you know it when you see it, if it's somebody. And the other funny thing is when I used to demo in stores or at events, a lot of consumers would look at me and be like, you must be like the CEO or something. And just because I was like so passionate about it.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
I know it when I was just in Erewhon this week. And there were 3 people demoing. And so I always go and check out because I'm also interested in, who does a good job doing demos so I can give brands heads up about that. And I know some of the brands who are demoing. And so I'll give them a little bit of feedback on how their demo person is doing.
Yeah.
And I went by and there were like 2 people doing an okay job, and they were nothing bad, like they were actively grabbing people walking by and doing the full pitch, and they had the script pretty well down, and they were pleasant and enthusiastic about the product. And then the third guy was a killer. Oh my gosh, he came in, it was me and my friend Jeff, and he just roped us right in. He was demoing a hummus brand, and before we knew what was what, we had a $5 thing of hummus in our hands. He was like, there are only a few left, so I'm gonna let you take this one right here. You just go and like almost like walked us to the counter, like
That's great.
wrapped us up and tucked us in. Like, all right, you're buying this. And so I just stopped and I was like, man, I've got to ask you, like, what do you work for the brand? What is this like? Because I would want to tell people about you. He's like, oh, like, well, I mean, I'm not usually doing the demos. I'm the manager for the demo company. And oh my God, was he setting a good
That's
example?
great. Yeah, that's what you want. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
great.
so he definitely had that founder energy. I guess 'cause obviously he has the same kind of level of passion. So it's cool to see, and it matters. You as a with the passion when you do a demo, you can sell. I would say 2 to 3 times as much as some like a contractor typically that you hire because they're not going to have the same passion, but they
Agreed.
are very helpful and useful as you're trying to scale. Obviously, you can't be everywhere.
Correct. Yep.
So, Glenn, I recently had a fantastic time with you in New York during Fancy Food. So we at Startup CPG, we had a lot going on there, and it was really cool to get to engage with you in a bunch of stuff. We had a lot of meetings going on in our section. We had a 20 booth section, including Snoods, and just I think some of the most righteous brands out there. It was so cool. And then you and I got to do a panel together, which was our first, not our last. And I just wondered, what was your experience like overall at the show this year? How did it feel? Was it different than past years? Anything really cool that you saw?
Yeah, I think I'm still picking up from that one, Daniel. Definitely a great show. I think it was phenomenal. Past years, I think the layout was definitely better this year. I felt like I got a lot more accomplished. Spent a lot of time downstairs, and I think that was the main focus. Of really being downstairs with the emerging brands. Your section was great. I thought it was phenomenal how you guys carted me around to each section, each table. I might have knew probably half the brands already, or we had them established. But it was great, interacting and listening to them. I think the one-on-one was definitely stopped them from what they were doing, focused on each other, had a great interaction. And a normal, I was talking to one of my guys just walking around. We wouldn't have gotten that, and I think we would just walk past, taste it, a short conversation. But we actually had a great one-on-one with everybody, so that was phenomenal. And then you guys decided to slide me into a speed dating meetup, and I think I did 10 meetings, with 4 minutes, with each meeting. And that was intense. That was good. That kind of put me over the edge for the day, but it was great. I got a lot to see a lot of backpack. We call them backpack. Entrepreneurs really kind of sell their product, and I made a lot of connections. I have several meetings set up in the future with a lot of vendors I met at the show. But I think I met a lot of companies or startups that are looking for support, looking to get started up, just looking for some advice how to get started. So I think that was great. Our panel was great. That was fun. Definitely the highlight of the whole show. I think getting up there, really, it was great experience. I can't thank you enough for that, opportunity. But I think we had a really good, the pitch event. You did a great job getting everybody up there to pitch. A
Can
bunch
you
of call.
tell can you tell anyone who wasn't there a little bit about what that was like from your perspective? What we
Yeah,
did?
no, that was phenomenal. 15 minutes left on the clock, and you decided to bring every brand that was in the room in line, and gave them a minute to go up there and pitch, and we had everything on the table. I think me and Mitch, looked at each other like what was going on, but it was great. It was phenomenal. I think we had really had a fun time, a great time. I felt good, walking off the stage, really connecting with brands. The brands were lined up, right? I think I just handed out about all my business cards, coming off the stage. But it was great to make a connection. A lot of great brands, a couple today that I think were, talked early on, setting up meetings. And I think that's been probably the last, week and a half is just setting up meetings with everybody, so we can make sure we get some FaceTime with everybody. But it was a phenomenal experience, great show. I think everything in your sections, were great. And I think just the downstairs this year, even with the local call outs that the show did, after SFA, they kind of called out the local, states where everything was from. Our home ground, New York, New Jersey. It was great to really zone in on a local part of that, but it was really, really a great show. A lot of takeaways. Me and my team, obviously, I said before that we're breaking everything down.
That's awesome. Well, you did such a good job, and I think just everyone was so stoked to get to meet you because they don't always. It is hard to navigate the web of LinkedIn and even know, yeah, like who manages those chains? How do I get to talk to that person? And I think it was one of the things that I'm proudest of us getting to do with the show is just help people hear a little bit about you and how to work with you. And that was really awesome. So thank you a lot for that. And also just that last point you mentioned about local brands. How much do you care if a brand is local? I mean, it sounds like you do have a preference and you're pretty interested to support local and emerging brands. Like, is that where you're going to start the show usually, is in that section? Or if someone mentions that in their LinkedIn message to you, it's going to get your attention?
I mean, we're here. We're metropolitan area of New York. We want to, be local to New York, New Jersey. That's our backyard. Yeah, it's definitely, our local, area. This local emergent brand, we want to be there for them. We want to help them. We're in the neighborhood, right? If it's a brand coming up, it should be on our shelves. I think that's what we're there to help. Preference, no. I mean, it could be something great from the West Coast. Something I see, as emergent trend. But New York, I want to say is up and coming. A lot of stuff's going on with the brands. A lot of stuff, I think in the future. Talking to brands, talking to stuff that's going to come out. I think we have a lot of new emerging local brands, going to hit our shelves in the future.
Amazing. All right. And maybe just last question for you. Are there any overall trends you're pretty interested in right now, or you're seeing from the shoppers or from products, like maybe even some holes, big opportunities you think there are in the store? Like, hey, if you're that kind of a brand, maybe reach out. Like there might be something open for you.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think there's a lot. I think protein is still kicking on. I think protein from even like protein cottage cheese. Is it a cottage cheese ice cream, cottage cheese, bar to go? It's been a on fire. Non-alcoholic. We're seeing a slip and decline in in beer and wine sales, and a little uptick on non-alcoholic or mocktails. I think that continues to go. I think people are just watching what they put into their body. It's a thing. It's either you want to call it the blue zone or the biohack. And I think that's a lot of people are focusing on what they're doing to their bodies today, so they can make sure that they're here many years on and healthy and still function. So I think a lot of stuff's changing. There's some concern in the future of what Ozempic's going to be. What is that going to do to the food industry? How many people are going to be on that? 15 years. What's going to happen to the consumption of food? So a lot of stuff. Those are the few trends that I think that are going to be continuing, and we'll see what happens next year.
All right, amazing. Well, Glenn, I can't wait to run it back with you on another panel next year at Fancy Foods and also get to do a bunch of fun events with you now that I'll be in New York City full time with you and your awesome team. I had a really good time getting to know the rest of them as well at the show. So, Glenn, again, just a big heartfelt thank you from our community to you, because it's buyers like you that can give brands, I think, their very first distribution and really get them started. And, momentum begets momentum. And it is just such an important place to gain a foothold in New York City at your awesome banners. So just, thank you from everyone to you, and also just to Village Supermarkets for really making the investment to support emerging brands and bring those kind of products to your shoppers, which includes a lot of the brands as shoppers as well. So
Yeah,
just thank you overall, and I can't wait for all of the continued stuff that we'll get to do together. And then lastly, it sounds like if people want to stay tuned and follow up with you, best way is maybe give you a follow on LinkedIn.
that's it. Yeah, follow me on LinkedIn, and I'll be out there. Shoot me a message, and we'll get back to you. And Daniel, thank you for everything you do. Your team is great too. Great for hosting me, at the event, and everything you do for the brands. It's amazing, and I think you guys are doing great. With that.
Thank you, man. We are having a blast doing it for
You
sure.
definitely are.
And it goes much better when people like you get involved. So that's the key.
Yeah.
All
Awesome.
right. Great. Thank you, Glenn. Bye, everyone.
Daniel, take care.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed the podcast today, it would really help us out if you can leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. I am Daniel Scharff. I'm the host and founder of Startup CPG. Please feel free to reach out or add me on LinkedIn. If you're a potential sponsor that would like to appear on the podcast, please email partnerships@startupcpg.com. And reminder to all of you out there, we would love to have you join the community. You can sign up at our website, startupcpg.com, to learn about our webinars, events, and Slack channel. If you enjoyed today's music, you can check out my band. It's the Super Fantastics on Spotify Music. On behalf of the entire Startup CPG team, thank you so much for listening and your support. See you next time.